Greetings. This is General of the Armies Vincent Diaz Jr. This is a communique for Vladimir Putin. Attention all world leaders, CC all stakeholders, BCC those living my way of life or who want to. This is a communique on topic with news I've memorized, making points, having to span across this planetary emergency, updating situations, slowly ticking down to the need for them, and then a discussion of how I go to my happy place to try to figure out how to explain a happy place. The issue with Walmart has hit the default proper protocol critical blocker full failure stage. It is now actually properly refuting to process my card payments I'm working on immediately within the app, such that it basically says it cannot, having no calls in or out whatsoever. Proof positive, the software has appropriately failed out of the unit to never even attempt processing, while just failing out of the processing type to not even take it further, basically. Which puts it on a 12-hour clock of this acceptance of this technology having to be capable of being back to full functionality in 12 hours from the fix needed occurrence. My clock started on my morning check, and at this point it's a countdown to the expulsion of the technology itself, basically to be permanent. We're having about 10 hours to be back up and running. With it having been proven too many times, this is not allowed. And this actually being the instance where, if this fails to be back to functional under time with this permanent expulsion, it is the end of the league, causing the end of the sports field allowing the play. So, yet again, this is the worst case scenario with holiday travel ever. We are having issues with too many people processed into processing, needing to at least obey occupancy. Seems it's not being obeyed. But having this issue here, there has been an explosion at an airfield during flight over the runway during an air show. This was not part of the show. Some special jet truck committed so many crimes it blew up during the show, racing the planes against traffic even, having one of the show planes fly through the explosion fireball, with the show having been put on hold to be finished later, and this being an issue of having an air tower issue, default issue, such that until the air show is over, this air tower has to remain within our system of counting as an air tower controlling the airspace. At Battle Creek Executive Airport, so I've been thinking about, just talking about how I need to get to work here and going to my happy place like I get to. like I was supposed to already. And working over these units, with bringing these facilities up to grade, taking appropriate cleaning to count as a clean, ready to occupy quarantine facility. Having some simple logic. So I'm working over how long it will take. I've got the Holiday Inn at FEMA. It's my facility. The appropriate proof. I'm not the last one in existence. But the other facilities that are mine, the Hampton by Hilton at the Homewood Inn, twin building facility. I've stayed at before. And the sequence, or the occupancy being 2 per hallway, with 1 unit for I. Every floor, all the floors, and having all the rooms in the hallway on the side, occupancy of the occupant for the occupant, making maximum ease of having stock and supply throughout the first quarantine lock before integration out of segregation of individualization proof of proper quarantine, clearing procedures, the rest of it being the basics: 1 in, 1 out at a time, 1 out of the room during an unoccupied time for the hallway to have only that 1 in, with the clearance to use the elevator alone, with needing the lobby cleared upon the elevator's arrival to occupy, back and forth, to returning to occupy the room of the occupant, not needing to be the room departed from. And more basics here of fully automated, no currency or pay needed vending units. Standard basics of a hotel. 1 at each end of the hallway. A fresh fruit vendor. A drink vendor. A food vendor. Adding 2 redundancy units of stocking once to have enough stock no matter what throughout these sequences of restricting any further stocking. The process being, I working all jobs, basically master of custodial arts. Turning to my processes, I arrive at Holiday Inn with the supplies I need, and I begin to probably not hot pot cook or boil my hemp, but to just coffee pot, as the units I've discussed, put a hemp brew on, so to speak, to begin my base supply creation, either with the hemp on my person or having hemp there. With control of these units, we've had to have as proof with me working the hemp through the water as it regenerates and endlessly grows, not needing to get anywhere near the point where it triggers the water main explosions of the enemies, always proving this as sure as nature. Basically running a pot or 2 to begin my custodial processes. Having proper running hot water, hot enough for my system to spread the watering power of the hemp. Starting off running laundry for every room in the facility. The base unit, 1 washcloth, 1 towel, 1 set of linens for the rest. Needing the redundant units, having at least 2 of everything in each room. Checking my minimum units of preparing 1 washcloth for my hygiene units, and instead of using it to exhaustion to need to enter the laundering process, actually having it be the only supply in the laundering process, not just water and laundry machines, running all the washcloths and towels first with this, the one I prepared in the batch, and then next running the linens with one from the second set of redundancy, the one from my room, as the detergenating whatever agent. And then with the redundant set, and having had my process of the capability of supplies for each room that are the supplies for my room, having all the rooms online, hopefully, and 2 coffee pots brewed and ready of my special hemp tea, to then within the room's localization units prepare 1 washcloth and proceed to wipe all the surfaces appropriate, the flat spaces, the desktop, the tables, I forget what's there, TV screens, all the touch units, all the handles, bundling the exhausted cleaning cloths in the rest of the linen set, the redundant set, to process into the laundering process, proceeding through each room before laundering that set to return to these rooms, while the laundering process is going through its stages, then proceeding to work the floors, needing a water-only mopping of the room floors. I don't know if they're carpet or hard surface. I think it might be carpet, might be both. Needing 1 base sweep over the interior room to hit the state such that the touch contact hemp needed for the process can be introduced to the floor in a minimum unit so that it gets to run the whole floor unit, the interior unit. And then starting moving the vacuum for the hallways from bottom floor to top floor through the unit of using hemp like carpet freshener, carpet cleaner, sprinkling it across the carpets, the hallways, from bottom to top, moving the vacuum 1 floor at a time to the top before finishing the process of putting down the carpet cleaning agent, just the hemp I've discussed, same as used in the rooms. Hitting a unit of confusion over success no matter what with my processes of a minimum maximum time, having put the carpet hemp down on the carpet in the hallway of the top floor to begin vacuuming top to bottom, such that the bottom floor has maximum time, the carpet cleaning agent on it, upon vacuuming each floor down to the ground floor. And then needing the special units I haven't exactly worked with yet, of these fogger units, steam spray fogger units, to basically use the same hemp, maybe just straight from the coffee pots, setting up the lobby coffee system, for basically working the lobby floor over with the same logic, but as this first step for a check of the quick fogging, steaming spray layer check, 2 sweeps, making sure to moisten all surfaces of the lobby floor with a full fogging steam spray, then redundantly hitting the full cleaning unit, as with the rooms and the hallways, the same logic. And this probably being a full total clean, vacuum-like, proper, prepared, quarantined, unoccupied, isolated, segregation facility. Thinking maybe my facility, the Holiday Inn, might take one night to get this all done, such that my residence facilities take one night as well to get the 2 segregated towers, centers, residency centers, making it probably day 3. I'm prepared to bring in the residents, meeting my maximum controlled units who can reside, my residency centers. With the lobby area of the Hampton by Hilton being the appropriate residency center, community resource center, as well as the food hall, dining hall, where the residents can socialize to a new community type before I further my work and prepare my transportation system to introduce them to their society with a minimum unit of trips to my courtyard. Begin the process of integrating into my facility, which will not be their residency, with their facility lacking these facilities, and their isolation into segregation, requiring transportation so much as a proper courtyard, allowing the appropriate maximum joy of these educational systems, such that with the individual transportation units of a 2-seater Corvette, I can teach my youngest resident to drive the Corvette if they should so please. Having enough Corvettes, killing Corvettes doesn't matter as long as no one gets harmed in these education units. You're just basically working the rest of these systems with the logic needed to justify having any sort of control units. In no way, shape, or form any sort of absolute prohibitions. In all units to be stocked, something like 10 days worth of beer, 10 days worth of drinks, cold drinks, and cooling, 30 days worth of ramen cups dry, 1 year worth of hemp, 2 coffee pots always on, 2 to replace, new in packaging. 10 days worth of sandwich supplies. Food actually cooked by me through my system. Chicken, steak, pasta based, rice based, rice, pasta, oiled, prepared for cold consumption with microwave warming ability to further through preparations for twice cooked. Disposable plates, reusable disposable plates, capable of achieving the heating and cooking. The same through the rest of the set. Bowls, cups, forks, spoons, knives, napkins. Simple waste removal systems meet standards. The set of linens, brand new, never laundered, never colored, pure as the material alone, purely the material only. A secondary redundant set of those for hygiene use, already prepared with hygienic water down agents in the waste removal bagging units, closed. Yes, I forgot, and my processes to get everything prepared, which is always basically supposed to be going on. And I'm at the bathroom. That happened. The toilet system of mine, flush. Then resting. My shower steaming system. Probably no showering allowed ever. Showers for other facilities. That's more like a water closet need. Having to go through a steam fill of the room also with one of these linens, controlling the flow of the water in the shower, hot to steam, such that the dry hand cleaning agent can be used dry and dropped onto the linen, or can be used with water, and the linen catches the hemp to reprocess through the waste processing, so that during the steam water closet water down, what shouldn't be a shower, the hemp is then steamed to steam the whole unit with a hemp microscopic life form control cleaning system, and the whole unit being a smoking unit needing to be smoke filled as well. The hemp again, and then not a requirement for the residents to actually smoke, but a requirement to burn or an equivalent like vaporize the hemp, like aromatherapy requirements, aromatic, maybe even full automation, scent control at least. That's most of I think that's about most of it. Before I get into like more Big Brother like stuff, I totally control the TV through the most part of it. I don't know if I want to talk about all the media. As it started, the media they've been exposed to, like the media appropriate for them. The media I'll have to rework around it, having been based on our arts, so that can work in my most recent art. So that then upon integrating them like into my courtyard, I can play my art that needs to be localized to their specific educational units, as I have to rework my art to fit their exposure to their media units they're in the programming sequence of. I need to change the language of my art, like my music lyrics, to preferably directly during their consumption. Then at the doors, I'll have the minimum mandatory communications with I. Is starting to teach the basic message checking, message answering, communication check-in, check-out systems. The maximum unit of need, the quarantine release from the maximum segregation isolation unit door, not allowing exit in any circumstance except extenuating, without check-in, check-out, message check, communication, check confirmation, controlling all variables of one in, one out, one at a time, clean to proper, closed, prepared to occupy quarantine units. Basically, every port requiring this having that basic system, but not having to be the minimum 1 to 2 times a day message check, message processing, communication minimum. Then my demand of my maximum screened occupants, adding like a few more details, is the youngest capable of full function in the system but needing assistance maximum, like still language disabled over simple learning language, education discrepancies, one, and then the rest of the basic units not fully allowed to be decided by those at the edge of safety from the pandemic conditions by youth about to cross to danger zone over seniority. Yeah, and I basically needing a proper cargo passenger van, and I forget my count, but then a few units. After the 10 days of isolation, I want to begin with being dictator god king of my resident centers and have my entire residents community meeting with all in attendance, introducing protocol at the resource center, and myself to them and each other. Hitting my system and basically forcing them all through my Universitas system and into it by their choice, of course. Probably coerced, who knows. This being a requirement, but it is what it is after clearing the isolated quarantine unit. And then just having to bring them up to speed on how the facility runs and what they're supposed to do. Setting a precedence of being able to have the whole community at one time in this place where the whole community at one time is a requirement. Making the requirement for such a resource center. Beginning the simple processes of the exiting and entering to and from transport. And beginning the basic education on their duties. They can never refute. Sort of being house staff, to be waitresses, to wait on the waitresses, to run the kitchen, be the chefs that cook the food for the waitresses, to wait about. I basically being a butler. That's some sort of French waiter. That's also sort of like a Las Vegas table servant or something. And starting to work out the units where every one of them has to do every one of these jobs, but they don't have to do all the jobs all at once and possibly all the time. So I do, maybe, but I should not have to. Having educatable, capable residents. Those are probably about the basics in my happy place. And then I'm working on my Corvette jokes, or I probably need some Carreras. So I demand only virgin females and such. And I'm not a lady who will call a Carrera a lady car, but I'll make sure to get these ladies a car signed for a lady, not a giant butler. But not until the Corvette or educations. Alright. That was a happy half hour or so. Went fast. So I beseech you, President Putin, strike, so we can begin the re-education process, sir.